Hello everyone, this is DMC bringing a pro Dota commentary, and now we have the game 2 of FEARZ versus 60LT. And I'm not doing this one solo, thankfully, because the last one was a bit boring towards the end. I have Doc with me. How are you doing, Doc?
Pretty good, pretty good. I just finished a few of our midterms. I still have two more to go, but happy to be here. Of course, seeing FEARZ again, so definitely another fun game. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so this one we have the picks and bans, so we can do some analysis there. And yeah, so this is game 2. Not going to talk too much, but just going to say FEARZ won game 1. But if you didn't see it, just go check it out right now before watching the game 2, so at least you know what's going to happen. And Doc, can you unpause, do the unpause countdown, please?
Sure, no problem. Counting down. I'm pausing at 3, 2, 1, 0.
Okay, can you count?
15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21.
Okay,
22.
we're good. Okay, so why don't you talk about Sentinel first, and I'll go over to Scourge.
Well, Sentinel. Sentinel, we have a 60 LT, so I actually don't know this team. They're a fairly new team, so I'm really not going to talk too much about it. But according to just looking at the picks and bans here, they had first pick or first ban, and they banned Pugna, and they have a bunch of standard bans. I would say Weaver's kind of new in the patch, and most pro games he is banned. But for Scourge, we actually see well, it's pretty standard bans of Batrider and Visors, but we actually see a Clink's ban on FEARZ. So I think that is pretty interesting. Would you say that would be a respect ban?
Well, maybe not a respect ban, but in the first game, their Clinks just wreaked havoc all the game, and was a really big factor. He nearly pulled his team to victory, but unfortunately they got caught out of position and lost their axes and basically the game. So we see an AA and VS ban, so this is really interesting. A very ganking lineup for Sentinel here with Clockwork also. So, and also a kind of global strat with Clockwork's missile and AA's ultimate. So maybe see some Imba cross map action in this game.
Yeah, definitely. And too bad if they ban Invoker though. I mean, if they have an Invoker there, that would be a triple global nuking strat. But AA is kind of those more situational or initiation kind of global type of spell, because his thing is either used to chase a fleeing hero, like when the guys don't see it coming, or again not seeing it coming, putting it before a battle ensues. So before a battle ensues, that ice cold goes to where they are, blast them, and then everyone go in, and they'll just panic like, oh crap, I'm frozen, or whatever you call it, my HP is frozen, and then they need to either run or tank a few hits and die. So, and then Clockwork, on the other hand, it's more of a hits rockets, more for just finishing off a hero if they don't finish. But it's also really good for scaling purposes though. So both of these spells are great, but they do have different roles in my opinion.
And very interesting, we see a Dazzle pick, maybe to counter the Ancient Apparition's ultimate with his Shallow Grave. Great pick in this situation, I should say. And also interesting about AA is in a trial in his cold feet, you really need a secondary like slow or a stun to really for it to take effect. And with a VS, you can just cold feet, then her magic missile goes in. Once her stun expires, the cold feet should kick in and give you another stun. So a good combo there also.
Yeah, actually, one thing to comment on the Dazzle pick, I would not say it's much for counter to AA's ult. Is I actually think that I'm pretty sure that the AA's ult actually goes through Shallow Grave, because the trigger for that cracking part, it's supposed to just instantly kill a hero. So unless they're like invulnerable, it will kill them. It's like the same with axes, a calling blade. It will go through Shallow Grave as well, because I think the trigger mechanics of Dota just kind of kills the guy.
Well, my bad there. I didn't know about that, but then the Dazzle pick is a little interesting then. Also, Dazzle is a really good hero against the ganking lineup because usually in a gank you're going to concentrate on one person first, and if you can't kill him, you're going to have to turn around and go on the other person, which gives more time for TPs and overall just running away, getting new another position or something like that. So always a good hero to have yeah, to counter gank. And oh, we see a Tinker pick, more of that global strat. Once he gets those BOTs, he can just TP in, and then the rocket and the AA alt can just pop up, and that person will go down really quickly.
Yeah, definitely, and well, definitely a lot of burst damage on Sentinel, but I think that Dazzle pick was definitely a good choice here because there's a lot of burst damage on Sentinel. So I guess they kind of seen it coming. FEARZ kind of seen it coming, so they definitely wanted that Dazzle pick as soon as possible. But yeah, Dazzle is just a good hero overall, and of course with an SF is kind of one of those glass cannons, and really kind of depends on supports to keep him alive after after initiation of the team fight. So yeah, it's a good pick nonetheless. Dazzle,
And also,
Dazzle should be picked more often in our pro games.
yeah, well, there's two things about it. The first thing I wanted to say is his ultimate works well with presence of the Dark Lord, Shadow Fiend's ultimate, because that's a lot of minus armor. So good physical damage boost right there. And also, you were talking about Dazzle being picked more often. The big problem I see with Dazzle is he's not a very offensive support in a trial lane. He's a decent solo hero, but it's kind of wasted experience in gold. Like, what's he gonna get? Probably a mech or something like that. We've seen teams use him successfully as a solo, like DTS against eHome, for those who remember. But I'm not exactly sure how he works in a except in certain situations in a trial lane, because he's just not that effective as a support, because he outside of his physical damage, he's not really useful except for some heals and a grave. It's just very defensive. And we see his vent pick also adds on to that physical damage, so he's gonna get pumped up by the Shadow Fiend aura and the Dazzle ultimate right there.
Yeah, I think definitely Sven. Sven is another one of those heroes that are kind of like one of those support heroes that is kind of dying out in the pro scene, just simply because Sven usually it's used without farm, and without farm, Sven it's kind of he kind of becomes ineffective during the mid game, just simply because he can't keep up with the amount of DPS, and all he's really good for is his hammer, and that really can only go for like 1 or 2 per battle. But in this case, we already have Dazzle and CM as supports, so I would say they're actually going to use Sven as the trial lane CSer, so we might actually see some semi-carry Sven going on in this game, so I think I'm pretty excited for that.
Maybe not. Maybe they'll use Dazzle because they're European like DTS. They might try to get Dazzle in a solo lane or something like that. But yeah, I agree. Sven is a lot more effective when he can get like a quick plating dagger and go Vegas on the other team. But I really think Sven doesn't really need that many items to be a good DPSer in the mid game. That's why I think most teams, their reasoning behind picking Sven as a support is, I mean, once he gets his face boots or his oh wow, okay, let's not talk about Sven anymore. The Sentinel picked Alchemist, but more importantly, the Scourge just picked a stealth assassin. This is like, I'm going nuts right now.
Actually, on Sentinel here, we actually see Team Goblin as well, because you see a Clockwork Goblin, a Goblin Tinker, and a Goblin Alchemist. So I think all they're missing is Techies, but of course Techies is not really considered a hero, and definitely not going to be picked in a pro scene. But I think this is the most amount of Goblins we have seen in a single game. And of course, on your talk about the Ricky Morrow, they definitely needed a hard carry in this game, and I didn't really expect them to pick Ricky, and this might spark up a lot of inspiration to to more teams in the pro scene, like how DTS
Well,
inspired the Sailor Bear. Sorry, that cut you off there. Go ahead.
no, it's fine. I guess the reasoning behind Rikimaru pick is, well, okay, and also I'd just like to point out Loda, who's playing Shadow Fiend, went boots first. This is this is a pretty crazy game so far, but the reasoning I guess behind Rikimaru is he's an excellent diffusal user, and when you look at Sentinel, they have like Tinker, AA, and these guys just get eaten up by a diffusal blade user, and Rikimaru is one of the best with a diffusal blade in his hands. And wow, these lanes are out of this world. We see Shadow Fiend going bottom solo, Rikimaru and Crystal Maiden mid, Sven roaming with Dazzle, and we see 4 people top going RPG style.
Well, I would actually say they're RPG style, and they're just simply pulling the creeps away, and I think they kind of failed. Maybe it was a little bit unintentional. They may have went in a bit too early, or they were expecting a hero to pop up with the lane or with the creep wave. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. They just simply pulled a few creeps, but not enough to actually make it effective. And meanwhile, Tinker here is going to be at mid, trying to CS against Rikimaru and a CM. So yeah, definitely a pretty interesting matchup of a lane, I would say. Instead of, I think in a way it was because they didn't want SF to go against the Tinker at mid, so they sent SA instead. And I don't know about the Dazzle, but yeah, Dazzle is definitely not bad with soloing in a lane, but his farm isn't going to be that effective during the mid game.
And looking at the lanes, because it seems they sell a bit right now, what's your opinion on who should win the lanes? Who's got the advantage in each lane?
Well, SF at a silent is always it's definitely more vulnerable to ganks. And consider that he's against a Clockwork who really will have actually see an engagement going on at mid here. This Tinker is pretty low HP here. He is going to get first blood, and SA actually got that down as well. So great job there, great effort on that first blood. I don't know how they didn't see it coming as well, because they have a ward.
Yeah, they had a ward.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I think that was just a bit of a miscalculation there, and then that BS was a little bit out of position to save him. And back to what I was saying, that being the silent against Clockwork, who's pretty good against SF as well, just simply because he has a lot of HP. Look at that, 739 HP at level 4, but against an SF who's only at like 500 HP. If that Clockwork manages to get up there with his battery assault, that SF is going to die. So I think this lane here is going to be fairly even at bottom. At mid,
engagement going to mid.
Oh, mid here, they're going to go for this CM. CM is actually being pretty bold here. Oh my goodness, this Vengeful Spirit is going to get destroyed once again.
And this
3 versus 2 here, and they're going to just throw a random counter. Cool. Okay, and
AA is coming in to back up mid, but did you just see that Stealth Assassin just mic